So from here, guys, it's pretty straightforward, but what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to either work from one side or the other, and you're going to want to make sure that you do it straight on. You want it to be straight. You don't want it to be angled. So if this is the grinder,
HalferLand videos.
They call me a god. 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 Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine. In my thoughts, obsession. I will not stop, no, I'm never second guessing. I got a God complex. Haters love to hate, but I never feel pressed. Got a lot on my plate, but I never get stressed. I'll take all the pressure like I'm acing this test. Tear it up like I'm Jason. I see the world like it's ready for the taking. I see this place like a game I'm playing.
Alright, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Once again, doing a hands-off video here. As you can see, I have our HalferLand Performance Ultra Performance Piston Ring set. Very excited to announce this, guys. I don't know if you have followed us from the beginning. Probably not, man, because I've been in this game with the J-Series since 2010. Now, if you go back and check V6P or Acura Design, V6P I was the most active on, and my account name under V6P was Acura 325. So Acura 325. You will see, and we also listed this on our store listing, since 2012 I've been looking for a Honda J-Series specific piston ring for higher horsepower boosted applications. A lot of what's out there will work and will do just fine, but I wanted to take it a step further, as we did with all of our products, trying to maximize, optimize, and have the best parts possible at an affordable price. So a competitor's piston ring pack or set for like a high performance would be, say, like a JE Pistons, where they offer their own piston rings, but you're talking $160 to $260, and they're usually custom one-off, so they're not shelf parts. They don't make a whole batch, shelf them. These are like small batch items that they make, so that's why the price is so high. I went ahead and I partnered with one of the leading US manufacturers for piston rings. I'm not going to disclose who, because as before, guys, we've had other people, I don't know if they're companies, but we got the word down the line. People were calling, asking for our specifications or whatnot, once they found out who we manufactured through. So with that said, not doing that shit anymore. Anyways, so we have our HalferLand Performance Honda Jseries Ultra Performance Piston Ring set. So you're gonna get a box like this. This box actually doesn't have our recommended piston ring gap. We're gonna include a piston ring gap chart. So our manufacturer basically sent us all the top rings in one box, all the second rings in one box, and then the third rings, and then the oil control rings, all in separate boxes. Why, you may ask? Why didn't we just go with packaging? Well, so packaging takes a whole lot from the bottom end, or the bottom line, guys, and we wanted to make sure we kept our piston rings as affordable as possible. So we went ahead, we did our own packaging. You're gonna get this basically, and as I said, you will get the recommended piston ring gap per horsepower chart that we're gonna offer. For some reason this one does not have it, but you're gonna get a first, second, and third. The third's gonna have the oil control rings, and it's also gonna have the outer rings for the oil control. Then you're gonna have second. So our first ring, the top ring, is a forged carbon steel, which is great for high horsepower boosted applications. And then along with that, we also have a hardened chrome face. The chrome reduces wear on the cylinders over time, which is great for dirt track, autocross, high temps, anything like that, or even open element setups, such as like turbochargers or superchargers that don't run a filter like us. I don't run a filter on my setup at all. So the chrome face helps reduce wear there, but it also reduces the overall drag or resistance the piston rings or the pistons are putting on the cylinder walls. So in turn, you're going to have a freer moving, reciprocating, rotating assembly. It's not going to have as much strain going up and down the cylinders. And we do have it, they are barrel faced, so they still are going to hold compression. You just want to make sure, as all piston rings, you seat them in properly, and we will also include a little chart or a little note on how to seat our rings properly. Moving on to our second rings, they are ductile iron. It's just a ductile steel, so a ductile iron, and it's a much better step over a gray steel that others, or a gray iron, I'm sorry, I keep saying steel. So this is a ductile iron. It's a great improvement. It's the next step up over a gray iron, like a lot of these aftermarket OEM or OE piston ring manufacturers offer. So the ductile iron, it's just a more sturdy, it's a more robust, handles higher pressures, all that. Moving on to the third rings, our oil scraper ring, our oil control ring right there. As you'll see, the bronze, it's not bronze, but it's made out of stainless steel. And then the two outer rings that sandwich it for the third ring, the oil control ring, is the same material as our first top ring, which is forged carbon steel. So like I said, guys, outside of doing outside of getting like a moly faced piston ring, which I felt moly faced rings would be good for like 1,000 to 2,000 horsepower motors, where the majority of our customers are going to be running NA to 1,000 horsepower. And I felt, and same with our partner manufacturer, speaking over it, we felt that the reduction in resistance for the rotating assembly and the non-scoring, or the reduction of wear on the cylinders with the chrome face would be better than a moly application. Now, if you are a customer and you're going 1,000 plus horsepower, which we really don't have that many of those customers, you're probably going to want to go with a moly faced ring. You're going to want to go with a carbon steel like we do, a forged carbon steel, and you're going to want to get it moly faced for the first and the third ringland. And then that 1,000 plus horsepower piston ring set would also get the stainless steel oil control rings, and it would still get the ductile iron. So literally, guys, this is what you would run in a 1,000 horsepower plus engine, minus the chrome face, because we felt the chrome face on the first ring and the third rings, they're also chrome face, I don't know if you can see that, would help reduce, like I said, wear for our NA guys, and then friction, so improves horsepower and less friction or resistance for the rotating assembly. So to get started, guys, what you're going to want to gap your piston rings, obviously you're going to need the motor you're working on, because the way we do it, we've seen other people and other builders just use one cylinder to gap the rings. Technically, if your motor is squared away, it's machined properly, honed properly, all those cylinders are going to be identical. So you shouldn't have to worry about that. But I've always played it safe, guys, and I always just match the piston ring with the rod and piston combo. And let me pull this guy out for you. We have our HalferLand 1,300 horsepower J35 rods here, with our HalferLand 800 horsepower, I don't know if you guys can see that, and don't mind it, some of the packing lube, our J32, J35 800 horsepower hyper pistons. So that is that. And what was I saying? Okay, yeah, so the materials you're going to need, you're obviously going to need your piston ring set. We're running our HalferLand Ultra Performance piston ring pack. You're going to need feeler gauges. Man, I forgot what it is offhand. I'll tell you the specs in a little bit, but you're going to need different ranges of feeler gauges. These are to expand the piston ring out whenever we're installing them. And then you're going to need a file, some 200 or 100 grit sandpaper, and then you're also going to need a grinder. So this is the grinder we use. Now let it slow back down. For the grinder, guys, you do not want to use a coarse wheel or stone. You want the smoothest stone possible, because a coarse one is obviously, it's going to chip at it, and then it's also going to create frays. So you want the smoothest stone possible to grind with. We use this. We've seen other people use slow grinder, like hand grinders and stuff like that. If you're using a high-speed machine, powerful grinder like we do, and I've always used literally this grinder, you're gonna want to be super careful, guys. It's literally, you'll see as I go, it's just blip, blip, go back over, check. All right, so let's get started here. Oh, and I did want to point out here, these are our HalferLand 800 plus horsepower 4340 chrome moly steel cylinder head studs, J-Series head studs. So yep, we now offer, we used to offer ARP back in the days, they offer their 8740 chrome moly head studs also, and their ARP 2000s, but we're right in the middle. So ours are rated to 200,000 psi, where ARP are rated to 210 or 220. I think it's 210,000 psi. Ours are rated to 200,000 psi. Comes fully, I'm gonna unpack it here. Comes with all the studs, all the nuts, all the bolts, all the washers, or not the bolts. It comes with all the studs, all the washers, all the nuts. Comes with assembly lube, and of course our sticker. Everything you need to install them, guys. And you know what, now that I think of it, I'll probably end up we'll probably end up printing out torque specs and torque sequences on this and just include it with the box, make it easier for people. So like I said, guys, I hope you have a manual when you're working on your engine, just because, like I said, if nothing else, torque specs. I've said this 1,000 times in all my videos, but if nothing else, guys, you're gonna want a manual for at least torque. All right, guys, we got everything unpacked here. So left to right, I usually work left to right. We got our first ring pack, our first top ring, second ring, oil control, third rings. Back to the manual, guys. Like I said, live and die by the manual. As you can see here, Honda calls for the piston ring end gap to be checked 15 to 20 millimeters before bottom dead center, or before the bottom of the cylinder bore. Now, guys, once again, if you had your block machined, you cylinder hone checked it, or you dial bore, sorry, if you dial bore checked it, and you had it machined properly, then these cylinders should be straight all the way through. Now, if you did not have the cylinders machine bored or machine honed, then you're going to want to adhere to what Honda Acura calls for, which is 15 to 20 millimeters before the bottom of the cylinder. Being we had ours professionally machine honed from the machine shop that we've always used, we also dial bored and made sure the cylinders are straight and even all the way through. There's no taper, they're 100% even. So with that said, guys, we are going to work just off the top area of the piston. We're probably going to go 10 millimeters down, and that's where we're going to work. But again, I gotta stress, guys, if you did not have your engine machine honed, not hand honed, not hand reamed out with clay stones, or clay stones, I'm talking machined, professionally machine shopped, honed or bored to make sure they're straight, and then even after that you dial board checked it. If you didn't do that, then you're gonna wanna check your piston ring end gap 15 to 20 millimeters all the way down in the cylinder before the bottom. Okay, so something else that comes in helpful, guys, is our HalferLand Performance 89 millimeter piston ring compressor tool. Now, if you purchase our HalferLand 800 horsepower J32 J35 pistons, we will include them our tapered piston ring compressor tool. If you buy our piston rings, you can also add them in, and it's a great tool, guys, because literally, if you've ever been stuck using one of these stupid metal ones, you see how uneven it is there, guys? It doesn't compress the rings right. You end up having a weird shape like that. They get caught up on the edge, and that's how you end up damaging your piston rings. And a lot of people end up snapping. They end up snapping their top ringland. Trust me, guys, I've seen this so many times. They end up either damaging the piston ring, which ends up snapping off the ringland, or just something happens and it ends up damaging something. These are so easy because it's tapered, so it's wider at the top and then it narrows down to the bore of the cylinder. As you can see, this one's used. This is like the third motor we've used to install with since we got them. So we released these what, 6-7 months ago, I want to say, just in time for one engine to go out. Then I used it for another engine, and now I'm using it on this one. And I'm telling you guys, they come in so handy, and they're a fraction of the price of the metal ones. Ours are made out of polyurethane, and they're super hard, super durable. You can keep reusing them, and they're only like $25-$30 compared to the metal ones that are like 60 bucks. So anyways, guys, what I was going to show you here, and what we're going to do really quick, is we're going to calculate the piston ring end gap. So if you go to Honda Jseries Engine.com, click on our shop tab, or you can go to HalferLand-performance.com.3D cart stores. It's easier just to go to our main site and click shop, and it'll bring you to our store. You go to our piston ring, HalferLand Ultra Performance J-Series Piston Ring set. Scroll down to, I don't know if you can see this, scroll down to installation. There you go, installation, piston ring end gap. So as it says here, guys, piston ring gap per horsepower range, it's below, so it'll be below here. But all piston rings, they heat up, guys. And as the piston rings heat up, they expand, and that end gap gets closer and closer. If it gets too hot and there's too much pressure, those piston rings will butt, and then they'll pinch up like that. And what that does, as you see, it sits in these ringlands, and if it pinches and it folds up, it ends up snapping off. It ends up breaking or cracking. Usually cracking. It usually ends up cracking the ringland, and then the more combustion, the longer you run it, that crack starts to form bigger and bigger, and then boom, you get a piece that flies off, damages your motor, and then combustion starts shooting through there, so it starts torching the piston there. It's a pain in the ass. It fucks up the cylinder, guys. It does all kinds of shit. So that's why we say gap your rings. So now, getting into this. Alright, so what you're going to need first is you're going to need your bore in inches. We know our pistons, our J32s, are 89. They're 89 millimeters, which is 3.5 inches. Okay, so 3.50. We're going to do 3.50. Now, what we found worked best, stock to 350, 400 wheel horsepower. Leave them alone and just check and make sure our rings are going to come pre-gapped to these specifications, but always check, guys. Always check, never assume. Always second guess and double check. All right, so you're going to you're gonna check against the OEM specs to make sure that ours are on spec, and like I said, they are pre-gapped to stock specs. Now, according to horsepower, if you're 450 to 700, what we suggest for the top ring is the bore diameter in inches, so 3.5 times 0.007. So this is going to be for the top ring. So this customer's horsepower is going to be 600 to 800, so he falls in between both of these. All right, so what we want to do is straddle it. You see, the top bore or the top ring is 0.007, the second is 0.008. Now if you move up to 750 to 1000 wheel horsepower, that top ring moves to 008, 009, then 009, 0010. So what we're going to do, guys, we're going to go 0.0075 on the top, and then we're going to go 0.0085 for the second. Now you may be thinking, oh shit, he left out the third ring. No, you do not need to gap the oil control ring. Like I said guys, the first top ringland, why our carbon steel, our forged carbon steel material is such a bonus and such a plus, is because the top ringland takes the majority, it literally takes damn near all of the combustion, all that pressure, the explosion, the heat, it takes all of it. So the first ring is the most important. Then the second ring, whatever gases escape and go through, the second ring is going to catch. So you also want to gap that because it will heat up naturally, because it's also really close to the first ring. And then you also, the piston dome obviously gathers a lot of heat, so it ends up heating this. You just want to gap the first and second ring. Third ring is the oil control. At that point, it's just controlling the oil. It's just making sure no oil gets into the combustion chamber. So if we go ahead and do the math here, 3.50 times 0.0075, you're gonna get 0.026, which is 26 thousandths. All right, so our top ring is gonna be 26 thou. All right, now you're gonna do the same 3.5 and you're gonna go 0.085. So the bottom, or the second ring, is going to be 0.029. Really, it's 2.975. If you want, you can round that up to 30. We're going to keep it at 2.9. All right, guys. So as I've mentioned 1,000 times, clean, 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 clean some more, and then clean again, and then clean a little more. So what we do, I take carb cleaner, I wipe it down in there. Oh, look how beautiful our block guards are. I mentioned this in the TI Walbro fuel pump installation. If you're installing our block guards, guys, you want them to be below the deck height, 1 to 3 millimeters below the deck height. You don't want them perfectly flush. So what you're seeing here is the proper way to install these, all right? Because the combustion happens not at the tippy top of the cylinder. It actually happens slightly lower. That's where the majority of the pressure happens. So we went 2 millimeters below deck height, and then you just want to take, if you have a micrometer or a micrometer or something like that, I showed them in the last video. If you have a micrometer, guys, you can take it, obviously turn it on, go ahead, zero it out, and on this end you'll see that little spike, I don't even know what to call it, comes out, and then you can go ahead, set it flush on here, and you can measure out, oops, you can measure out the distance there, swap it over, and we got 2.3 millimeters, like I said. And then you just go around and you make sure all of it, all the way around, is 2 to 3 millimeters, or 2 to 3 millimeters. Now when you're talking millimeters, guys, it's such a small measurement. Now if you're 2.3 to 3, that's fine. You don't want to be 1 millimeter to 3. You want to try to stay within, you know, 0.5 millimeter range. But for the most part, 0.5 millimeter is even enough that they will sit in there, they will wedge in as they are designed to do, because they have a slight taper to them where they will install easily, but then once they get to about 3 millimeters down, they stop. They physically cannot go any lower. And that is our design, guys. We've seen B series, D series block guards. We've seen all that shit over the years, and as everything, guys, I went ahead and I redesigned, or I made improvements to an existing part that's been on the market for years, and I thought we can improve upon it because we've seen tons of people dropping block guards and shit. If you look at our reviews, you will not see you won't see one customer review where they said our block guards have dropped, because they physically cannot. All right, so I went ahead, I cleaned in there. Now I grabbed a different paper towel or shop towel, lint free. Make sure you get lint free, or use I said this in the last video, coffee filters. So we go ahead and we lube up where we are going to be pushing the piston rings into. It just helps get them in there so you don't bind them or anything. Obviously the piston rings are made to scrape the cylinder walls, so you're not going to damage anything. So that's that. And then you're going to want to take, we're going to go with the top ring first. Here's our top ring. Like I said, guys, forged carbon steel with a chrome barrel face is our first ring. So what you're going to want to do, guys, the way I get them in there is I kind of just rock it in there like this. And it may be better for me to actually take off my And you want to check when you push it together, you want to check and make sure that it goes even. Remember I said if this is the wheel, you don't want it all cockeyed like that where the edge of the ring would be not even. You want it to flush up. So check it. All right. Now you cannot go install it into the motor. You're going to want to deburr the edges, because it will create burrs, guys. So just do a light pass on all your edges here. And then I hit it with the sandpaper real quick, because the last thing you want to do is score up your cylinders. And then make sure you got a clean little rag, do that. Put a little more oil on here. All right, so we're gonna go down in there, push it in, and you can see already it still needs way more to be taken off. So let's go back and keep going. I like to use our pistons, and I will go down to the bottom of the first ringland. So the anodized part, you see it's silver here. The darker gray, that's the anodized dome and first ringland. You just want to go around and make sure, just push down to where it goes to the bottom. So that's there, and then come down here. Make sure it's even all the way around, and then boom. All right, so hopefully you can see some of that there. Put this guy back. Hopefully you can see the end gap there, guys. Not sure if you can or not. So we wanted 26 thou on our thing. We got 9 thou at our 2. So we got our 29 or 26 thou and 29 thou. All right, so we're checking number 1 right now, so we're gonna go 26. Take your feeler gauge, make sure you got a little bit of oil on there, and you basically just want to set it down in there. Oh my god, it's perfect. So you want to get it down in there, and if you can go up and down with it, it'll come in and out. That's actually a hair loose. But then you can do the go, no-go method, where you go 1 up to double check. So if I went 26, you would want to go to a 27. Yeah, I gotta find it. All right, so you just take your 27. So we were going 26. I got the 27 here. The 26 went in. You want to double check. That's a 27. All right, so it looks like I am 1 thou over, which, guys, when it comes to piston ring end gap, it's not a huge issue. I would rather go 1 over than 1 large or 1 small. So 1 over, let's see here, grab that one. All right, and then we are going 28, and 28 does not work. All right, So I went 27 thou on the first ring, so I went 1 thou over. Not a huge deal, guys. I think Bertha, I hate to even admit it, guys, I think on Bertha it was about a 4/1000th range between cylinders. So I think like one cylinder was 25 thou, and then another one was like 28 or something like that. And you see how well she runs. Compression is even all the way across the board. So really what you're doing with this is you're just wanting to make sure that when these piston rings heat up, they don't butt together. So alright guys, like I said, once you do the go no go, you file them. I think I might have misspoken in this in the video. So they are filed to fit if you need them for a specific horsepower, but for your given application, if you're staying NA, whatever engine model you purchase, it will be pre-gapped to that those OEM specs. So if you get a J30 piston ring pack, it's going to be spec'd for that motor. If you get a J35 V6, it's going to be spec'd to that motor because the cylinders are a hair smaller. So just keep that in mind. But like I said, guys, I hope you liked the video. I hope it was helpful. And check us out on Instagram at HalferLand Performance. If you have any questions, reach out to us at contact@HondaJSeriesEngine.com. All right, guys, peace.